Greetings people, 'tis I, 480 volts, and welcome to a channel update. I guess it's a little late for me to do this. I usually like to do this at the beginning of the year, and well, we're already in February, but you're getting one, a little late, but you're getting one nonetheless. I have a couple of things I do want to talk about. The first bit of news, and most exciting, some of you may already be aware of this, I am now officially an artist. Like, a music artist. Like, I have the blue check marks to prove it. Yay! It's not going to amount to very much in the long run, but it's kind of exciting for me at least. So, I only have one song right now, but I have two different versions of that song, and they are available on Spotify, Amazon, and Apple Music, or iTunes, or whatever it's called nowadays. The links are in the description if you want to check those out. It's not on Pandora. It was supposed to be, but I can't find it anywhere, so I guess it didn't make it. And it's on a bunch of other streaming services that I've never heard of or never used, so yeah. But it's definitely, those three are the ones that I'm keeping up with: Spotify, Amazon, and Apple Music. Mainly Spotify is the one that I'm keeping up with. That's where it's getting the most traction. And which is not much right now, but there you go. So that's pretty exciting. It's for those of you wondering, it's progressive trance, progressive and uplifting trance, EDM. I've been a fan of that type of music for a long time now, and I've always, if you follow this channel, you know I've attempted to make my own, and it's always been very, very amateurish. And you know, let's just say that over the last year, I spent a considerable amount of money. Wrong word. I invested a considerable amount of money in some really good software for that type of music. So yeah, I've got it to where it sounds pretty stinking good, and I've learned a lot about production. Well, I've learned a little bit about production and, technical side of things, so I've gotten it to where I'm confident to start releasing it publicly, besides, releasing it officially, if that makes sense. So, like I said, right now, just one song, two versions of the song. The song's called Purity. I vote that you listen to the extended mix, but there will be more to follow, so that's pretty exciting. Now let's talk about video games. So last year, my computer died. I referenced this during my Final Fantasy VII review. I'm not going to go into the specifics, but let's just say that I didn't take proper... We'll just leave it that I didn't take proper care of my laptop, and it died. And I lost a lot of stuff, including all of my old videos from the last year prior. Like from the all of the videos that I had made in the time of a year's time prior. I can't talk. I lost all of those old video files. They're of course on YouTube, but those were my reviews. But I did lose them, and I lost some other stuff, a lot of music stuff that I had been working on, which does kind of hurt. I was able to resurrect some of it, but so that happened. I replaced the computer. I replaced it. It was an Apple laptop, and I replaced it with another newer Apple laptop. And let's just say I spent, I invested a bit more cash into it, mainly for memory storage. So it has a lot more storage on it than my old one does. And for this reason, I was able to install Windows 10 on it. So now I have both Windows and Macintosh on my laptop, which is pretty sweet. Being that I now have Windows 10, this means I have access to things like Steam and other things. And so I can play a lot of games now and review a lot of games that I didn't have the ability to. Games like Mega Man 9, 10, and 11. I'm a huge Mega Man fan, so I will be reviewing those games way down the line. It's going to be a while, but I will get there eventually. And as well as some other games. Games like Final Fantasy VII Remake, which I'm currently playing through and I'm absolutely loving. There will be... Well, let's see. Alright, there's two big things I want to address here. The first one is Final Fantasy, the second one is Sonic. Although I will say, I'm also able to play the remakes of the of Crash Bandicoot and Spyro the Dragon. Expect reviews of those way down the line too. But yeah, let's talk Final Fantasy for a second. So, my initial plan when I started making reviews was to review all the way up to Final Fantasy IX, because that was as far as I could go. Now I have the ability to go beyond that. I will be also reviewing Final Fantasy X, Final Fantasy X-2, Final Fantasy Crisis Core, Final Fantasy XII. Now, let's time out there for a second. What about Final Fantasy XI? It's an online game. I'm not going to review an online game. I'm not going to do it because, I'm just not going to. What about Final Fantasy XIII? Yeah. So as of right now, I'm not going to review that game. And I know you're probably thinking it's because I don't like the game. Well, that's not true. See, if I didn't like the game, I would still review it. It would be a bad review. It would be a negative review. And I think I've been more than generous in all of my reviews. As far as Final Fantasy XIII is considered, the reason why I'm not going to review it is because I can't really play it. So, funny story, I own it. I bought it. I have it on Steam. But it crashes at a very specific point. And for those of you who have played the game, it's after the team gets branded l'Cie or Pulse l'Cie or whatever, and they get the paradigms, access to all that. It's basically when it's the moment, in every Final Fantasy game where the gameplay goes, okay, so here's the big gimmick about the battles. And it's when all of that is introduced. And the area that the team is in is that sort of crystal type area. Something about that crystal background, I'm guessing that's what it is. I'm guessing it's this thing. Something about it is the graphics, whatever. They're just too pretty and whatever. And it overloads my computer and it crashes very consistently. It'll usually be during a battle. And during the battle, the camera, which does its own thing, kind of pans over wildly. And when that happens, the whole game freezes. It stutters. I mean, it's so bad that Control-Alt-Delete will not even... It'll fix it, but even the task manager will not show up. I have to log out and log back in and force quit everything. It's a mess. And it bothers the heck out of me because I can't play it. And like I said, I own the game. I spent money on the game. And I can't play it. And that part is maybe an eighth of the way through the game. What little I had played before that seemed really enjoyable to me because I've heard Final Fantasy XIII is the most polarizing Final Fantasy game ever, I think. I think it's safe to say that. I mean, it was released 13 years ago, and people are still talking about it. Some people say it's the best Final Fantasy game ever. Some people say it's the worst. And I'm a firm believer of don't knock it till you've tried it. So I wanted to enjoy it. I wanted to like it. And it seemed what little I was playing, I was really enjoying. And I could see why it wouldn't be for everybody, but I personally was enjoying it. And so that just made it even worse, the fact that I can't play the whole game and enjoy it. I want to. And aside from the obvious fact that I spent money on it. So that's why I'm not going to review that game. Now, in the future, I may, try to build a proper gaming PC. Something that doesn't have... Because as good as this is, as good as what I have is now, or as good as what I have now is, whatever, I'm still using an Apple computer. It runs Windows 10 beautifully, and it can run Steam and all that stuff, and I have, emulators like PS2 emulators and GameCube emulators, and it runs them real smoothly. But it's still an Apple computer with Apple parts. And for whatever reason, it just can't handle whatever Final Fantasy XIII brings to the table. And I've looked online for trying to find solutions, and nobody's real any help. Seems like a lot of people have said that it's just that Steam just has a bad port. Other people have said that this is an issue, and that Steam just has a very bad port. And some people have, put patches and game mods where you can sort of get around that. They say you install this and it'll fix the problem. I've done that and it doesn't work for me. It still crashes very consistently on that area. And I've done, everybody says, the first thing everybody says is, well, don't save it to the cloud. Set it to not save to the cloud. I've done that. It still crashes. And I think it's just because I'm using an Apple computer with Apple parts, and it's just a bit too much for it. I love Apple, but that's just the sad truth. So I can't do Final Fantasy 13, and I'm not even going to attempt to do Final Fantasy 13-2 or 13-3 until I'm comfortable doing 13, because people have said that if you have technical problems with 13, 13-2 is even worse. So I'm not going to do any of those 3 games. I wish I could. I really do. I really want to enjoy them. And it's so weird because like Final Fantasy VII Remake, which came out, well, I mean, it came out, when did it come out? Last year or the year before? It came out on PC this year, I think. Or was it the end of last year? I don't remember. I think it was the end of last year. So that's like super new. And that runs fine. It's a little choppy at times. It does, and I have frame rate issues at certain points. Again, because of my computer. But it has yet to crash on me. I think I'm almost done with the game, and it has yet to crash on me. So that's great. I can play that game, and I will review it way down the line in the future. Maybe the whole game will be out by that point, because right now it seems like it's in limbo mode. So I can play that. I'm wondering if I even want to bother with Final Fantasy 14 or 15, because it's like, because they're on Steam, and I don't know, it's like I don't really want to risk spending the money on those games if it'll just crash later on. This is why people use emulators. And everybody says, don't use emulators, you want to support the creators, I get that. But it's like, I bought Final Fantasy 13, I spent the money on it, and I can't play it. And no, I can't use an emulator either, because a PS3 emulator does not run very well at all on my computer. So that's the status of Final Fantasy 13. Or that's just the status of Final Fantasy. Maybe by the time I get down to that game, because I'm going in order. Like right now, I'm last one I did was Final Fantasy 7. Next one's gonna be Final Fantasy 8, and then eventually 9, and then we're gonna kind of go down the line. Maybe by the time I get up to Final Fantasy 13, I will have either solved the problem or built my own gaming PC. Point is, if I ever get to where I can play the game, I will review it, because if I feel incomplete without reviewing it, like it would bug my OCD. But for right now, Final Fantasy VII Remake will at least happen. It may be years before it happens, but it will happen. The review, because I'm going in specific order. Now let's talk about Sonic. Okay, so Sonic is always where this channel starts, right? I mean, this channel just loves Sonic. With this new computer, I was able to suddenly play some Sonic games that I'd never played before, because I never had these consoles. So games like Sonic Adventure 1 and 2, Sonic Heroes, Shadow the Hedgehog, Sonic Colors, Generations, all that good stuff. Like, I can play those games now. Most of them are on emulators, and I'm just going to tell you, I'm not above using them. Question the legality of it all you want. I will say I did buy Generations, I bought Lost World, I bought Forces, and when Frontiers comes out, I will buy it, though I won't review it right away, because, again, I'm going in a specific order. I will not review it as soon as it comes out, but I will one day, in the distant future, review the game. That being said, there is 1.5 games that I will not be reviewing, and I know you're already thinking, what's a half a game? Well, I'll talk about that in a minute. First, let's focus on the one game, the whole game. I will not review Sonic 06. For one simple reason. The game is not, like, I can't play the game because, well, I don't have a console. Like, I don't have a PS3. I don't have an Xbox 360. If you want to know the truth, I don't even have a TV. So, like, I don't feel like buying all this stuff just to play, nor do I have the space for it right now. I don't feel like buying this stuff for games that I may or may not enjoy. And I know right now you're still hung up on the fact that I don't have a TV. Yeah, there's nothing to watch. Like, back when I was traveling out of town, I would watch TV at the hotel rooms. There's almost nothing to watch. So TV has never been a good source of entertainment for me. Like, if there's anything I want, if there's any shows that I want to watch, I can find them somewhere else. Like, you know, I can find them on streaming sites or just buy actual physical copies of them, which I have done in some cases. So Sonic 06, I can't play it because I don't have the means to play it. And I've already mentioned PS3 emulator. It doesn't really work on this computer. Then as for the 360 emulator, I can't even find a 360 ROM of 06. And it's not like I can buy the game. I mean, Sega delisted that game, 10 years ago? 12 years ago, something like that. I can't buy the game. So there you go. Like if it was available on PC, you know I would buy it and I would play it. Because again, I'm a firm believer in don't knock it till you tried it. And even though everybody says that game is horrible, and I have to this day never played it, it's almost 15 years old. Actually, it's over 15 years old, and I've never played it. Okay, hang on a second. I just realized something. It's over 15 years old. That means it's older than Sonic was when the game was first released. Yeah, chew on that for a second. But I can't play it. You know, I've never played it to this day. So I don't know. I can't judge it by the same standards that I judge any other game. Now, I could talk about the graphics, I could talk about the music, and I could talk about the story. Oh, do I have some opinions about the story? But I don't see the point in making a review for that if I don't have the gameplay included. And I can't judge the gameplay because I've never played it. But everybody says that it sucks. And at this point, the thing is I still want to play it for myself just to see if it really is as bad as everyone says it is. Though I'm pretty sure it is. Because when so many people say it sucks, it probably does suck. And it's not like they're being petty, too. Like, I see legitimate reasons as to why it sucks. And I've seen the videos. You know, I have seen Rouge sticking to the wall. You know what I'm saying? So, like, yeah, I get the glitches part. So, for that reason, I'm guessing that if I were to play it, and I do wish I could, and I hope that I someday can, I'm guessing that I would not like it either. I would hate it too. So then that begs the question, does YouTube really need one more review of, one more negative review of Sonic 06? Like, so many people have already bashed the game. Do I need to add my voice to that? It's not like it's some milestone, like, hey guys, I made a negative review on Sonic 06. Yes, I can check that one off the box. Like, you know, there's just no point at this point. And also, it's not like Sega will ever... Like, Sega learned a lot from that game. It's not like they're really doing anything in that game. It's not like anything that they did in that game that they're really doing now. Like, you know what I'm saying? They pretty much... That's a closed chapter in Sega's life. So, they've moved on. There's no point in me doing a negative review on the game. Like, what would it solve? So the half a game, that's Sonic Unleashed. More specifically for the 360/PS3. Again, for the same reasons. It was delisted, so I can't buy it. PS3 emulator, not so good. 360 emulator, I can't even find a ROM. So, I can't play that version. I can play, and I will review, the Wii version. Which I have, at this moment, already beaten. But since it's like a separate... It's a separate game from the 360 version. Almost. So I consider it like half a game. So I will review that, but I can't review the 360/PS3 version. So that's why I say there's a game and a half that I won't be reviewing. The whole game being 06, the half a game being the 360/PS3 version of Unleashed. So that's where we stand. But there are so many other games that I will be reviewing, and it won't be this year. You know, this year we'll be lucky if I get out of the PS1 era. But just know that there's a lot of games that I am going to be reviewing. I'm super looking forward to it. And, you know, music, I'm an artist now, so expect to hear more music. I do have a Facebook page for whatever that's worth, and, you know, Twitter. I try to keep everybody, like, I don't update Twitter very often, but I try to at least point out when I've put out a video or a review, and I will definitely upload or update whenever a new music release has dropped, because, well, yeah, and so if you want to follow me on Twitter, that's cool. That's really all I got at this point. But yeah, I am excited for the coming years, and I'm going to go back to playing some Final Fantasy VII Remake, and then I'm going to go finish working on my next review, which is Final Fantasy VIII. So, pieces.